Hello, Whitefish! With over a month until the mountain opens, I thought I'd bring a friend on to tell some stories of old about growing up riding the big. Today's guest is Jason Robinson. Jason is a professional snowboarder, raised here in Whitefish. We had a deep conversation about growing up as feral kids, riding the mountain when it was more primitive than today's resort, his experience navigating the snowboard industry, dealing with grief after his brother Aaron passed in a tragic snowboarding accident, and how Jason rose up to win Snowboarder Magazine's Big Mountain Rider of the Year and release arguably one of the most profound snowboard parts in the history of snowboarding in Absinthe Films' Eversince. We also talked about his family, the Robinsons, a clan who has had a huge impact supporting local youth, most notably with the AROB Plant a Seed Project, a nonprofit dedicated to their son Aaron, which helps disadvantaged kids from across the valley get access to the ski area with gear, passes, and even coaching. To hear the full interview, search Hello Whitefish on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or Amazon, and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Thrivers Coffee. If you would like to help support the fight against human trafficking, visit thriverscoffee.com to order your coffee and make a difference today. Go Pills are a blend of 8 nootropic neurochargers that support focus, clarity, attention, fast recall, and decision-making. These have actually been tested by some of the U.S. military's top special operators who have given rave reviews to Go Pills. You can get 15% off your order when you use the code HELLO15 at checkout when you visit gopills.com. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, Morgan, thanks for having me, man.
Stoked. What I want to just dive into a little bit is just your story with your family, being one of the most prolific families as far as like just the character of our town, I think is defined a lot by the impact your mother has had as being one of the OG influencers on Whitefish, and her being such an advocate for the youth. I think more than anyone else in a way, just really, I think helped bring up like this amazing generation of snowboarders and skateboarders, and just like recognition of just letting the youth of our town just fucking go for it in a way.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, big shout out to my mom, because she was, I mean, I know like a dozen people that at least that see her as like their kind of second mom, or like a surrogate mom, if you will. So yeah, I think she's had a huge impact on the local kind of shred scene, especially like even back in the 90s. She was working as a lifty at Chair One, and just, real boisterous personality, big heart, loud. She's from Brooklyn and was like proud of it. And, so that, and really it kind of got me into that snowboard scene I was kind of like just ushered right into it, because she was always hooking up the snowboarder kids with like slices of pizza at the, as they're getting on the lift. She'd be like, hey, here's a few slices of pizza for your ride up. So like, even when I was just like a little grom, I kind of already had like, she'd already kind of facilitated me kind of getting my foot in the door with like that crew, which was pretty cool. And then, like flash forward till more recent, when with my brother Aaron passing away now 14 years ago, and we started the Plant a Seed project. Is a memorial program we started to honor Aaron after he passed, and for 14 years now we've been bringing groups of kids without the opportunities pretty much up to Whitefish Mountain Resort to learn to snowboard. And we've got a bunch of awesome like volunteers that kind of help do the coaching and teaching them. And my mom's kind of been organizing it, and we do between the AROB skate, like memorial skate jam that we just had this past weekend, and the Smash Life Bank Slalom. That's where like a big portion of the money to like run this program comes from. But then we also do like, people can sponsor like an individual kid, which essentially it's like the rate of like the ski pass, a youth ski pass up there at the mountain. So that like covers their pass, and my mom like sends them we'll send them like little updates and like a little bio on like the kid whose pass they bought, which is pretty cool, and like some photos and stuff of them just out there stoked. And of course you're like welcome to, they're welcome to come like join us up there too and like actually ride with the kids in person if they're into it. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I forget the amount. It's 14 years, so I mean she's had at least it's like over 200 kids come in and out of the program, and like some of the kids it's just like a fun thing they do for a season or two, and might never really touch a snowboard, but like some of these kids just like eat and breathe snowboarding now, and it's like just part of their lives. But yeah, and like having moving, like I kind of helped them get it kind of going way back when, and my mom's just been running it, and now that I'm back in Montana, I'm trying to help out, kind of like expand the reach a little bit. And so for this winter, I'm going to be kind of teaming up with the Buffalo Hide Academy out in Browning, out in the Blackfeet country, and the Browning Shred Club, which is students happily reaching every dream. And
wow.
Yeah, and it's a super amazing program this woman Kayla's running. I think it's their second or third year, second year I think, but so far she's been taking they do like a Sunday meetup at the Thunder Park, which is the skate park out in Browning.
Yeah.
And she helps them get like boards and shows, it's just like a community thing for these kids to skate. They all skateboard together, and she has like over 80 kids involved in it.
Wow. And
so I'm trying to put some of my energy and resources into like building a bit of more of a snowboard program out there for the youth, because once the snow starts flying, obviously the Browning Shred Club, like they're not skateboarding anymore, and the Buffalo Hide Academy, which is like the alternative school pretty much, I got to take a group up snowboarding like 10 years ago here in Whitefish, but I was so busy with snowboarding that it was just kind of a one and done, one day deal. But I'm trying to get more involved with that and getting them outfitted and
amazing.
And so that'd be one thing too with supporting with this Plant a Seed project, whether you're sponsoring a seed or you want to like volunteer and kind of like help coach and mentor kids, or you have like gear to donate. We're kind of like open to like anyone's help in that regard.
Any support.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so important. I think that's what's kind of cool, that the mountain does offer like free passes until kids are 5, and then another free pass.
Yep.
Is it the 5th grade?
5th graders you get free passes. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know any other resort that does that.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. It's a really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been good working with them, like with the Plant a Seed up there. And and this year too, we're kind of getting a bit of a sponsored deal from Rocky Mountain Transportation. So we're going to have like our own, because we used to take the snow bus, but now it's like we have so many kids and the bus coming down is so busy that it's not really fair to like load it up with like 30 kids and all the helpers. And so we've been like kind of shuffling kids up just on our own the last couple of years. But Rocky Mountain Transportation's we're coming through with like a bus for us, and
awesome.
At like a pretty awesome rate. And so we're gonna be like dialed at the ski resort. Like we'll have like the same kind of program going here with the local Flathead kids, and then the kids in the Flathead Valley. But then kind of expanding our reach a little bit, and putting some time and resources into that community out in Browning.
Is Whitefish the closest resort for him?
They're like equidistant from Whitefish and Teton Pass.
Uh-huh.
And like Teton Pass, it's like, well, one, they don't have to go over Marias Pass, and two, it's like half the price of skiing at Whitefish. So they have been for a while. They'll do like a couple days a season down at Teton Pass, and at least the Buffalo Hide Academy does. That's like high school age kids.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's pretty sweet. And I don't know. I don't know if they did it much before. I don't know if we kind of helped spark the idea, or because when we brought them up to Whitefish, and then sounds like they've been like keeping that going, like skiing or snowboarding a couple times a year, or maybe it's been going on before that even. But
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited. That's like cool way. I mean, I've had so many cool opportunities through snowboarding, so
Yeah.
it's nice to try and use like my energy and knowledge and like network through snowboarding to kind of get more like people into it that like probably wouldn't have the chance to.
And that could produce some incredible rippers.
Yeah, there's always that potential. It's like pretty
Yeah.
insane to think like, well, even that one day, like some of the kids that came up from Browning, and I don't think there was like 12 or 15 kids, and I don't think a single one of them had been on a snowboard. But dude, by the end of the day, like there was like a handful of kids, like some of the kids that like were skaters and stuff, like dude, they had picked it up so quick, and they were like we did a lap up chair one, I think, with a couple of the kids that were like already like first day were like pretty much ready for it. It was pretty sick.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's cool to see like, you know, just like give an opportunity and like a little, you know, kind of the nod of like, you got this, or, you know.
Right. Just the encouragement
cool.
to try it. And so if people want to find out more information, do you know what are some good websites or handles?
Well, so I know with Browning, if you want to like help support what they're doing directly, the Browning Shred Club on Instagram is a good way to reach out to them. And yeah, I don't know if you like want to
arawplantaseed.com.
Yeah, see, we it's just been such a local community thing. Like we've never really, like my mom had the Facebook going.
Yep.
And she would just do it through that.
There's a Smash Life Makes Slalom.
Yeah, that's I think that'd be the best sort of best way to connect, other than like connect with me directly, which I'm like happy to give that out too. But
totally,
whatever you think.
Well, you're on Instagram, J Robble, J_Robble, Jason Robinson.
Yeah. Feel free to reach out to me if you're curious, or you got kids that want to get involved that don't have a chance, or you got time or resources to contribute. Then yeah, we're definitely happy to like talk about, see what we can do.
Awesome. That's amazing. Well, I'll definitely put all this stuff on social, and I mean, your Instagram videos are just so fun to watch, because your snowboarding is just like man. All over the place. Like this shot
wow.
is insane. Like I was like, is that technically like a rippy flip?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. That's a trick I think needs to come back. I don't even know, like, because I know a lot of tricks that like those guys were doing back then are now just I don't know what.
Well, yeah, now, you'll see it. It's like more common, but now they're doing it like a 1080 with two flips in it. But it's kind of like that same melon grab. It's still like
you kind of go front side and then do a backflip and stuff. Yeah.
Other tricks are just out of hand, but yeah. It's fun to just kind of. That was just a day. Snow wasn't incredible. There was like a little landing or a jump, and we just figured we'd stick a fallen tree in the ground and kind of launch off it. So it's just like awesome. Something to kind of keep it fun and entertaining.
It's the artistry of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why like kids like coming out of Browning or like the Planet Seed have this opportunity to be creative in a way they never thought they could, and just like create individual style and just have so much fun with it at the same time.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think that's something like, we're trying to get going out in Browning, because like they're 3 hours from the nearest ski hill, is like just like a little like back hills, like DIY kind of approach to snowboarding. Like you don't necessarily need a chairlift and a ski area. It's like if you got the board and the boots, bindings, you can like snowboard. You can snowboard at the skate park. You can snowboard at the nearest hill. Like
just get a snowmobile or
shuttle
a
you
quad.
up in their quad or their truck or whatever, and like just or just hike it, whatever, like build a little hit and session it.
Dude, so many hills over there too, like so many prime spots.
So that's kind of my goal with that, is to like kind of share like my experience with that approach to snowboarding with some kids that haven't snowboarded, and just like, hey, here's some gear, now you can just go off and do your thing, and here's kind of like just an idea of where to start, but it's like wherever you want to take it really is up to you, and it's your thing, make it yours. So yeah, so that's been pretty much 15 years now with that one. Yeah.
Oh, and with she had a huge impact in getting the skate park built too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I guess we pretty young, my brothers and I all got into skating, and it was an issue when we were kids. Like that was my first encounter with the police, was because the spot we had to skateboard, it was the Four Corners. It's right, just the block kind of behind Firebrand across from Central School there. And there was like a manhole, like literally just a sewer lid that we would like ollie over. And like, that was kind of the skate spot where like you could kind of get away with it because it was public domain. It's like just a city street or whatever. But there was an occasion or two where, like the police would come by, and there's a group of, 15, 20 youth from like 12 to 20 out there, all with skateboards. And like I remember one time in particular, they never even got out of their car. They were just yelling at us over the loudspeaker, like profanities and, get the out of here. And being a little kid and like, other than like watching cops on TV was pretty big back then. That was my first like interaction with the police. So it didn't really set the stage for like the best outlook at law enforcement. Like since then, my encounters with officers of the law have been much more positive, like just the way they've treated me. But
totally.
But yeah, back then things were a little bit different, and kids were getting like fined for skateboarding at like the post office or church, and they'd get their skateboards taken away. So yeah, my mom kind of took it on with I think, and Brendan Rohan was super involved. But yeah, my mom was like a key player in starting the Whitefish Skateboard Association, which, and then later David Olseth's family came on and like did put a huge chunk of capital into like getting it actually built, and now it's like a memorial park for their son David Olseth. And yeah, so now like the kids have had like a spot to go skate, like something we never had when we were kids. But it's awesome, for them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, now I think skateboarding itself's been more accepted, so I doubt they're getting quite the like harassed like they maybe were back then. But
it was bad. I mean, I probably got like 4 or 5 tickets, and my parents were just shocked that the cops were issuing tickets to like 15-year-old kids for like $100 and stuff. Yeah. Like when I was doing it, there's like, I think I first started skating in like 92 or 93.
Yeah.
With like Shane Mulder and
totally.
And Stefan Lalonde and Mark Delorme. Yep. And a lot of the Kalispell had a really cool scene, and they dealt with the cops a lot of the times too. And young Sierra Fellers coming up too. Yep. And I used to skate the manhole too. Like, it was so amazing how that spot produced a lot of flat ground rippers. I mean, I think just like having the mountain right there, which also just, I don't know what it is about that mountain that just produces such good skiers and snowboarders. I don't know if it's the culture or what, but that mountain is just the fact that it's just so tight. Like, there's cliffs and you're just like right into a little tree field and stuff. Yeah. But so what was your experience like? How would you describe the mountain growing up to someone that, is just kind of like learning about Whitefish Ski Resort, previously Big Mountain, for the first time? Like, what was growing up on the mountain like for you guys?
Well, yeah, it is a super neat, kind of unique ski hill, I feel like. And I mean, for my brothers and I, it was super cool. Like, both my parents worked up there, so it kind of was like our sort of babysitter a lot of times on the weekends. And back then, night skiing was a lot of a bigger thing, so we would go up there after school like 3-4 days a week. And but yeah, like the mountain itself, I think it helps. There's a lot of I wouldn't say entry level, but it's sort of more like user friendly. Even you go to the top, once you kind of get down that, scrape your way down that anthill, it's like a pretty beginner, intermediate friendly way down. So I think we were able to like get to the top of the mountain a lot sooner than like some of these bigger resorts where you spend those first few years like down on the bunny slope and then kind of like build your way up until you're like ready for their main chairlift. So having that, I think one was probably a big part that kind of like helps with the progression, because you're up to the top like pretty quick, and then and the way the terrain's like pretty broken up, so there's nothing really big and steep and sustained. So there's like some technical tight sort of cliffs and tighter lines and tree lines, but everything kind of like it normally kind of like benches out for a bit and kind of help you get your bearings and before you kind of drop into the next one. So I think that facilitated a lot of progression, like maybe quicker progression. And then and two, I think with those there's like a lot of these flat spots where like especially a young snowboarder, when you're like 100 pounds or less, like you really had to carry your speed to make it across, and you didn't have the poles and the skis to like skate. So like you really have to, before maybe you would think like, okay, I got to bomb it from here to make it across there. So it kind of already set this sort of tone and this like ability to like being comfortable like at higher speeds.
That's a really good point.
Right?
Everyone just gets really good at bombing down, like whether it's North Bowl, like before Easy Street, or even just like bombing down Big Ravine. Yeah. Like just the challenge of like, all right, you're halfway down. It's like, I'm going to tuck it. Let's just see if we can do it.
Because it's the easiest way down the mountain is Easy Street. And on skis, it's probably pretty chill. But on a snowboard, you got to bomb at least like from halfway down that anthill, or there's no way you're gonna be walking across it. So
especially in the springtime.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So that probably helps with some things.
When did you start like riding like the more urban settings around town, like the beach, when they got like some of the more wall stuff built out and stuff? I guess we just didn't really have that stuff in the 90s yet.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember being like fairly young and doing a couple things up at the ski hill, like some of the like the little rails going down the stairs or whatever, but it probably really wasn't until I'd like moved out. I spent a winter down in Lake Tahoe and got more exposed to, well, one, like the park riding, which is kind of the first part. Like you want to get comfortable on these rails and these sort of street type snowboard features in a more comfortable snow covered setting before you're like going down a set of stairs where if you like fall off the one side, you're going to, land on the cement or something. So I think that also like that kind of went hand in hand, going down there and getting those skills on the rails, but then also like getting exposed to like, well, and for one, like it's Lake Tahoe, like even at the lake level get a ton of snow. So pretty much any sort of street or urban feature, there's like feet of snow to kind of work with and like set it up a little more safely. And
true. Yep.
Yeah. And then that was just kind of like a big snowboard hub, especially back then. So like there was other people doing it, and, cause it was still even like pretty new in snowboarding as a whole. There was just like this sort of handful of guys really like getting into that side of snowboarding and like pushing it that direction. So like the foundation was like just kind of getting laid, and being up here, you're kind of disconnected from that. And we would like more just be like ride what we were offered, which was like an awesome all mountain sort of experience. So like we developed our sort of freestyle approach a lot differently than someone that grew up like in more of an urban setting, like in the Midwest, like Minnesota or something, where Minneapolis, they have those little ski hills, like rope toe ski hills that are just like insane parks, and then like the city's just right across the street. So it's like just the natural progression where like here, we slid more like logs and tree jibs and like little things like that.
Is there anything how many people moved to Tahoe like in the late 90s, early 2000s? That seemed to be like a big spot everyone went to. Because I remember I moved down there in like 2000, and then we had like Canyon Flory, and Travis was down there, and D-Lo came down, and I think you came down to Vinny and Ian.
Yep.
It was like that was like a big spot. Everyone was like, once everyone graduated, just like Tahoe was just, I remember the first time just going to Kirkwood and Sierra, Tahoe. I could not believe how many resorts were just in the valley. I'm like, it would be like having 10 resorts in the Flathead Valley, and all of them are so different.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was like a freaking kid in a candy store. The first time I went there, I was like just blown away.
Yeah, epic zone for that, because, I mean, we were, well, before like Blacktail was even built, and I guess you have Fernie, but you're like hours away from that many ski areas where like within an hour, like you said, there's at least 5 like kind of like world-class places to ride.
When did you start getting excited to like pursue a career in snowboarding? I mean, your brother really kind of took it and was like kind of instantly just was obviously on fire with everything he was doing. He just was so good at everything. I mean, yeah, he's known for his snowboarding and skateboarding, but he was such a good musician too.
Certainly. But yeah, he just is just such a natural talent, you know. It was really whatever he'd put some energy into and had passion about, he'd like excel and quickly, and you know, to take it to a pretty high level. Pretty much anything he'd like sunk his heart into. So
did you guys kind of both move to Tahoe at the same time and kind of
no at the Tahoe, he never really moved to Tahoe. But for me, it was Canyon Flory that I'd kind of gone down, which I'm sure with some influence from Travis. Travis Parker, his uncle, I believe, cousin or uncle, relate.
Cousin.
His cousin. So, and it was Kyle Duty and I, from Hucks now.
Yeah.
But, which it would have been my senior year in high school. And it was, you know, Kyle may have been graduated for a year, and there'd already been a few people from Whitefish that moved down there. But yeah, we just went down. We already knew Canyon. He let us like crash on his couch for the week. We found a place, like lined up jobs and stuff. And then, so Kyle and I moved down there, and then it was maybe a few weeks later, Dylan, Candelaria, that was kind of like, hey, you guys got a spot, like, you got an extra spot for me in there? And we were like, yeah, dude, come on down. And so then he moved in, and yeah, we were just like a few blocks from the gondola at Heavenly. So it just like, even if you only had a few hours, you could just like walk over there, buzz up, get a bunch of laps, come down. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
And then for my brother, he went to Seattle from here. And that's where, like, I mean, he's always a great rider and a great skater, but then when he moved out there, is like things really ramped up, getting exposed to like those bigger mountains, like at Alpental and Mount Baker, and then just these huge skate parks out there. And that's where I think he was able to progress so quickly, because the way skateboarding and snowboarding kind of complement each other. You know, with the skating, it's more technical board control, but then with the snowboarding, you have these like high speeds. So you get kind of comfortable in both of those. And so where those kind of come together, really like lend themselves for like a crazy progression. And I remember not really seeing him snowboard or skateboard for 2 or 3 years. And then when he was out there going to a music school out there, and then first time I kind of linked back up with him snowboarding from there, and it was like, he was like already at like a world-class level. And like, he was still pretty unknown, or like just kind of getting like his name out there within the industry, but he was already like one of the top talents, you know. So it was pretty impressive. But yeah, that's kind of the arc that he went.
Did your parents like promote like just artistry in general? Did they push you guys just to get into like artistic things or anything, or was it just kind of like skateboarding looks fun, music looks fun?
Yeah, I think it was just more like a free range kind of approach. Like they were just kind of down to, like, especially my mom was like really down to get us involved in whatever we were interested in. So it really wasn't, I mean, sure, they worked at the mountain, so there was kind of like already a kind of an in there, but no, it was kind of more just like free range, just like what we're into, like how can we help help you do it.
That's awesome.
And I guess that's just more like what we were drawn to and what we chose. But
trying to remember what band your brother was in. Was he in a band with Sam?
Yeah, they had a Silver Splatter.
Yeah.
Silver Splatter.
Nice.
That sounds like Silver Splatter, but yeah, Silver Splatter. And yeah, they kind of had like a jazzy kind of feel to their music.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he could kind of like fit into any sort of musical scene or group, I feel like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he like really dove into the piano, but he could kind of play a little bit of everything.
Yeah. When did your path in snowboarding shift as far as wanting to take it to like a next level? Was after your brother passed away, or were you kind of pursuing a path in professional snowboarding before that?
Well, I'd say like my brother passing like really like ramped it up and really helped kind of like hone the focus and like something to like put that grief like into full on.
Yeah.
But I'd been pursuing it long before that. I mean, ever since I was maybe 12 years old, that's kind of, I got like my first sort of sponsor, just from like doing the local contests. And then a local guy, Jim Thays, was like a rep for this brand Ignition, and he started hooking me up pretty young. And then we would go just with like gear and stuff, and then we would go to these events. They used to do this like border cross series up in Canada, and the first one I went to, there was like a 12 and under division, and then it was like 13 to 18, and he was already hooking me up with the gear, and 12 and under was just like prizes, and then it was like cash for the 13 to 18 group. And he talked me into like, it was my first border cross race, or maybe not quite my first contest. We'd done some local stuff like the slope style. They had that Park on Ranger Trail there.
Yeah.
But we do like, they had like a Friday night series or whatever. But that was like my first border cross race, and he talked me to doing the group of above. And I remember because I was in second place. I made it all the way to the finals, and then I was in second place, and I was like pretty stoked. And then the kid in front of me he was right in front of me, and he bailed. I had to like kind of like zip around him without running into him. But then I ended up winning the whole thing, and I was like pretty small for 12, and so I was just this like little shrimp. And then, but yeah, that was like a $500 check, and I was like, oh wow, crazy. Like, so that was kind of like my first sort of thing where it was like, oh, you could like do this for a job, or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we had some pretty good influences, like having Andrew Crawford, like around at that same time. He was like really blowing up as like a big name pro snowboarder. So you could, for being this far disconnected from the snowboard industry, he was kind of like the guiding light of like, oh wow, like you could come from a small town like this and be like a top snowboarder, and like make a living and a lifestyle out of it. So that was kind of like the first big inspiration. And then too, like when riding with Tanner Hall when we were really young, and he went off, maybe when we were like 13 to train in like Utah or Park City or whatever. And then just flash forward a few years, he was just winning like every contest. And I was like, dude, that's like the kid, like I grew up with him. We were hitting the same little backies off the little cat track together, when we were kids, and just to see like him explode, that was like another kind of thing, like, oh yeah, maybe you could do this but I don't know, it still never seemed like super attainable, but that was just kind of like hard-headed and just kind of kept plugging at it, I guess.
I keep thinking, I was watching Eversince last night, and it's just like that part, having grown up watching like all the Mac Dog films and the Warren Miller ones, but like that part was just so moving. And maybe it's just because of like, just knowing the backstory and stuff. Do you want to maybe, because I think it'd be cool for like kids nowadays just to kind of understand what the progression of making a video part for like a company like Absinthe, what goes into that? Because you're making like an art film, but that's also like a documentary about these like moments in time that are never going to happen again.
Yeah.
And there's just so much amazing stuff to it that I just love to analyze. And then, picking the music and stuff. So what's that journey been like for you as far as how do you approach making a part?
Well, man, yeah, that's a tough one. 'Cause it's like, it's really, I mean, that was just always a dream of ours when we were kids, of like to make a video part. 'Cause it was always, that's like what we got to see, from like the outside of like what snowboarding was. And yeah, you learn after you filmed them, like you're just getting this little glimpse, this like 3, maybe 4 or 5 minute look into this person's like entire season. And then you can even go beyond that. It's not just that season, it's like the culmination of their whole life, like leading up to that season, which you're pretty naive to as a kid. You're just like, oh, that's pretty cool action, like that shot was sweet, that trick was cool, like the lighting, that was cool, like how the angle, how they filmed that, how they tweaked the grab or whatever, added a little personality to the trick or the segment. And yeah, and it's not, And it was pretty easy when you're a kid and you're kind of like learning these tricks and getting comfortable, getting more air and going faster, where you could think like, you're like, oh, I feel like I could do that, you know? And it's like, well, sure you can. However, it's like when you see one of those parts that's on that level, and you know, there's normally only a handful each season that are really like where you just know like everything for that rider was kind of lining up, like that was like their season or whatnot. And I think that's a pretty rare, and like I don't think all of us even get to experience that at that level, because so many things all have to come together. Because sure, there's so many talented riders that they just either never get the opportunity, or they don't put themselves in, they're not the right place at the right time, they don't make the connection, and even then, and there's like one little injury could kind of like take you out of that potential like meeting this person then to like get on this crew and make this trip, which ends up, you know, getting on Absinthe or something like that. But but like what goes into it is like, it's like everything, you know, especially when you're filming those levels. It's like that's pretty much your life. Like you dedicate your life to that, filming that part.
Wow.
And like how it's changed and progressed. I mean, I think there's a lot like the kind of model of the snowboard industry now. There aren't really these big high production crews. So like those opportunities are like a lot tougher, and it's become a lot more kind of like a DIY thing, which has its pluses as well, because now it's like it's kind of all for the love more and like the passion, and it's kind of gone back more to like the kind of homie video and like people filming each other, and everyone's kind of like having to pick up a few other skills, like they'll pick up the camera too. But there was like a beauty of like, like working with the crew, and especially with like Absinthe, they were like shooting with Justin Hosnick. At least my first season working with them, they were still shooting all 16 millimeter. So there's just this adds like this artistic kind of cinematic dynamic that you don't really get with a digital camera. And then also the mystique of like, you'd film the clip and it'd be like a month or two before you'd see it. So you had to kind of like feel it, you know, where normally you're shooting digital, you'd get the trick or you do the line or whatever, and you can watch it and say, oh, I kind of goofed that up right there, or like didn't, you know, my arms kind of flailed here, or like I scrubbed speed in a weird spot, or kind of the landing wasn't very good. So you could like see it and then like, okay, what can I change to go try it again? Where with the shooting the film, it was like, it's like if you either knew it or you didn't, you know. So it's like you kind of had to really like feel like you knew you had the trick because it felt right. You couldn't watch it until months later, and then it'd be like he'd get the package of the film of like digitized after it was all developed, and we'd like open it up at the hotel like after riding one night, and it'd be like this little like mini Christmas morning, and we'd like watch the footage and like. And yeah, with that, there's like some heartbreakers where you're like, oh, I thought that was going to be such a sick one, and like it just didn't line up. But then also some are like, wow, it's like that was so much better than I could have even imagined, you know?
Wow.
So it kind of takes you on that like emotional ride a bit too.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about your transition from what happened with your brother and how that how that changed your life, I guess? And I can't imagine what it was like to lose, you know, your brother, especially Aaron. So I do want to offer my condolences on your behalf.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, Morgan. Yeah, man. That's a good question, and it really was crazy on so many levels. And I mean,
what were you doing at that time? Were you fishing at that point?
No. So I was pretty full on pursuing snowboarding, which was thanks to Aaron, because I was kind of on this arc pretty young, and then with sponsors and stuff, and then I just kind of had this pressure of like things didn't really materialize as quickly as I thought. I thought, you know, by the time I was like 18 or 20, I'd have like contracts and like budget and stuff, and it just didn't really work like that. And I just kind of had these like societal pressures or whatever you call it. I just kind of let the outside world kind of influence me, and like, okay, I guess I'm an adult. It's kind of time to grow up. This snowboard thing didn't really like work out. So I started going to college and was like working at like a marketing and like down in Mount Shasta at this like kind of marketing business. They did like rentals as well. And I was kind of like on that path, kind of going more away from snowboarding, I would say. And then I was probably around, like 19, 20 maybe.
Yeah.
And then like Aaron would come through. And I remember one time him and Earl came through. They were like just kind of like chasing the storms. They were going from like the Cascades, like around Seattle. And I lived right in Mount Shasta. So they were like driving down the interstate, heading to Lake Tahoe because like Washington warmed up and like Cali was getting dumped on. And just like the stoke he had, and just that sort of like fly by the seat of the pants, like it's good there, like we're just going for it, And I felt like I'd kind of like closed that door and was like, oh, this is like the path I'm on. And I'm like, you do A and then B and then C, and then you're like, okay, that's your like path to success and a good life or whatever. And just kind of seeing how, and he's a couple years younger, but yeah, just like that freestyle, like doing what you love and not really letting these other pressures kind of like influence that. And he was starting to get like a little support from like K2 and Volcom, so it was like his efforts weren't going like unnoticed either, and that kind of got me thinking like, maybe I'd like kind of shut that door a little early and didn't like pursue it. I kind of gave up a little quick, so that's what kind of shifted gears back into snowboarding. And I was going to move from Mount Shasta. My plan was moving to Arcata. I was going to go to Humboldt State University, and I like pivoted and moved to Truckee, California, so I could be in the mountains. And I got to snowboard with Aaron a lot in those last couple years of his life. But yeah, he kind of set that ball back in motion for me to like pursue snowboarding. And it's crazy because we were kind of like, and then I started getting some momentum and some support, and we were kind of like building this thing together. And then, yeah, and we were even filming the movie together that year,
right.
Which was going to be his original concept was Of Life and Love. And he kind of just wanted to make this like almost like a snowboarding drama, like something like, something that would spark the most emotion, snowboard, like as far as snowboard movies you could. And, it's kind of like, kind of careful what you wish for, or maybe that was just the universe helping him achieve his goal in some wild way. But like, I think he did that, and it's like him dying as he's filming this movie. The movie totally shifted, and we called it Manifest, Aaron Robinson's Manifest, because he essentially like, without really any support or budget, he like brought together this super talented crew of like really passionate, talented people, and made, like probably the most like emotional, like heavy hitting snowboard movie of all time. And,
right.
And like at the cost of his life in the thing, but however that all works, there is like a beauty and a sort of like magic to it all too.
It's an amazing film. I mean, it's just, you can just feel the vulnerability in it. And it's just, there's definitely something about, it's just not about the trick. It's, there's so much soul in what he presented to us. It was really just an incredible gift from that vision. And I mean, I think you've definitely carried it on with some of the films you've come out with, and I'm so excited to talk about your Eversince part. But I'm curious, like, what was the path to that? Because had you started writing with Absinthe at that part or at that time?
No, not at that point. And and I mean, and I already credited Aaron just a bit ago, like for getting me back into snowboarding. But then, like, and I was good. Yes, I will say that. But like with him passing, like that was kind of almost a necessary thing for me to become great, I would say. Or I don't want to say it's necessary, but like that was the spark that really took my riding and my commitment to it to a whole nother level. For one, like yeah, just like riding with him, and I can even say this to this day, having ridden with like this crazy amount of talented riders, like he's still like the most inspiring one I've seen on a board. Just his approach to natural terrain and his flow and his down the mountain, and like his eye for unique lines. It's like so far ahead of his time at, you know, he was 23, 24. And yeah, so I mean, he kind of like set this stage, I felt like, for us to like make something together in snowboarding. And then like losing him, it was sort of like, and I remember at one point thinking like, wow, do I turn away from it now? And like that was just like this quick little thought, and it was like, no, you just like go as hard as you can. Like this is, now you're like, you're not just doing it for yourself, you know. Sorry.
No, you're good.
But yeah, you're like carrying him on your back,
right,
too now.
Right.
And so much so is that like I remember like, cause I was always a little more freestyle. I had this like kind of ducked stance, like wider stance, and he had that more like kind of Craig Kelly, like tighter stance, angled, like with the knee in. And I remember like after he died, like even on that trip down in Chile for Manifest, like I rode his board one day. We were just up riding around. We like spread his ashes, and I was like on his board. And then when we got down that day, in like sort of honor to him, I just set like my stance up to like exactly where his was. And dude, it's crazy, man. It like changed my riding like instantaneously. It's like, I don't know if it's just the physical like aspect of like your legs just being positioned differently, or maybe I was like tapping into something greater there, but by like setting that intention to kind of honor him. But yeah, it like instantly made a shift, you know. And then yeah, and I guess just like, and then beyond that, where I progressed was like having this like extreme grief from this loss. Like I put all that into snowboarding, you know. So that was my outlet. That was like my way to put like my pain and my trauma, but also like a way to connect with him and feel his energy. So, and then too, and just with the community, like when you're out in the mountains with these like-minded people, and like sometimes like little things of people like remind you of him, or like sometimes they're like direct friends of his, and like so it all just kind of built. Yeah, and then just that repetition. Like I would just go up, and I just moved back here from Tahoe when he'd passed away, and I mean that just became like my church. My altar was like just going up to, I mean, I would just be up on the mountain almost every day, just like whether it was good or not. And I didn't even really hardly ride with anyone, I guess with maybe him, but it was just like I would just ride by myself, just like be up there first thing in the morning, and I wouldn't leave till the lifts stopped spinning. And just that like repetition done with like intention as well, I think's what allowed me to go from like a good snowboarder to a great snowboarder.
Did you talk to your mom about your wanting to pursue snowboarding more at that level? Like, I mean, just, you know, such a freak accident to happen. Was your mom like hesitant? Was she like, no, I feel nervous about you, you know, really pushing it? Or was she like, please just do it? Well, just wear a helmet.
Yeah, that's a good point. 'Cause we did have one conversation on that, and I had like one question for her, 'cause I didn't want to like personally just make that, okay, he hit his head snowboarding on a rock, he wasn't wearing a helmet, like I should wear one now. So I just asked her like, hey mom, yeah, I am gonna keep going with snowboarding, and I'm gonna like keep going as, you know, as hard as I can with it. Would you rather me wear a helmet? And like obvious answer, I think 99.9 moms are gonna say yes. So yeah, that was pretty clear. And yeah, I just slapped a helmet on and just never looked back, you know.
You had a great quote.
I shouldn't say never look back. But,
yeah.
but as far as that aspect of
Yeah.
it was like I just put on the helmet on and kept going.
That's amazing. And I mean, that's so important. I think I forgot the exact quote, but it's about dealing with grief, about taking care of yourself and not neglecting yourself. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you just had I wrote it down. Did I write it down on my notes? I didn't. But I think what does tend to happen is people turn to substance or just bad behavior or just neglectful behavior when dealing with loss. I mean, and it, especially in small mountain towns where I think when there is loss in a small community, it's it can be extremely traumatizing. It's hard to take care of yourself. So to, like what Shane has built with Lap for the Lost, with the Nate shoot, the importance of taking care of yourself cannot be understated. And it's amazing that you were able to funnel that into, man, this incredible journey of doing things on the mountains of this planet that we get to live on that are just make me well up whenever I see your video part.
Thanks, bro.
So I kind of want to put this on. Can we do like just a commentary of the Eversince part? I'm not sure how much I can put on YouTube, but I'll figure all that stuff out. Because ever since I watched it, I was just like, oh man, I would love to get your commentary on this, on your part. And it's like the whole movie is incredible. Like everyone's video part in it, it's so good. The soundtrack's full of bangers.
But yeah, when you mentioned like the self-care thing, and like I don't think I maybe by the time this film did, because that was maybe 4 years after Aaron passed, but like I wasn't necessarily taking care of myself those first few years. It was kind of a lucky thing of like a blessing of like having my outlet for all that was snowboarding, so I didn't kind of go crazy off the rails with something else, like drugs or alcohol or whatever, but I did go like off the rails with snowboarding. Like I was just an absolute freak, that's all I did.
Yeah.
That's all I did. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I burned, made irresponsible decisions to pursue that, friendships, relationships, finances, all just crashing down around you, similar to like someone in that like space of addiction. But luckily for me, that addiction was snowboarding, and yeah, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. And I think that, there were some it was like an unhealthy pursuit of it. But
that's okay. I think that's the most important thing. Like with grief is like, it's okay to not be okay. And that's just how it is. There's no right or wrong way to deal with grief. You can deal with it in unhealthy ways. Like, I lost both my parents to cancer at kind of the same time when I was like in LA and I moved back, and I kind of had to like restart my life. That's actually why I moved back, is because like my mom passed, and then came back here, took care of my father before he passed. And it was really my family dogs that kept me from moving back to Los Angeles, because I was like, I don't want to take my dogs back to LA. And so like restarting and kind of figuring out how to deal with a new life when you've just like had a traumatic loss. Like I think losing a sibling is way more intense, but I mean, loss is loss. Everyone's got grief.
It's never easy.
But yeah, coming back to Whitefish, kind of the same thing. I kind of like took a year off because I had been producing like these high level reality TV shows in Los Angeles, but to come back and just spend every day on the mountain, like that, and like hiking up Ghoulies and just exploring that place is just, it really is a sacred place. Like going up to like West Bowl when it's overcast and everything is just completely black and white is one of the most surreal experiences that I just like, because I think there had been a burn like the year before, so all the trees were just black. And it's just so like psychedelic in a way up there.
Definitely.
So that's I mean, it's just crazy what life throws at you, but I'm so happy that it kind of, I was able to move back here and stay here at that time, because it just led me to where I am now in the best way possible. But it's that mountain is just a healing place. And I think Montana, there's a lot of healing places up here. And I think that's kind of why it's like, it's kind of bittersweet that Whitefish in this area has blown up so much, because I just do hope that people understand how sacred it is, regardless of your religious or spiritual leanings. It's just something magical up here.
Yeah, well, we're lucky to have this all surrounded by this nature like this, to have this outlet when you're in, especially when you're going through it. Because, and I mean, this thought just kind of popped up when the way you're explaining that. But yeah, picture going through a traumatic experience like that in a big city like LA, where it's so hard to find peace and solitude and connect with the outdoors, and whether it's nature or higher power, however you see it. But so yeah, I think we're really lucky to have those opportunities up here, that you wouldn't necessarily have living in a city. And I feel like it'd be a lot easier to kind of just spiral downward, and with so many distractions and crazy influences all around you, it's hard to really just like get centered like you could in a place like this, at least much easier.
Completely.
There, at least they have the ocean, but it's different. It's just like,
there's something about
hectic.
It's a little hectic, and it's just something about being able just to go up on a mountain and take a chairlift up and just go explore for miles and miles. And it kind of makes me, now that I've got like a daughter, it's like I can't believe my parents would just throw me on the snow bus and just like know that kid's up there somewhere.
Yeah.
And they kind of just have free reign of this massive amount of territory.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane.
Well, dude, and it was sick because like nowadays it's like you probably get the police called on you. Who knows? But like, because my mom on days, she would just drop us off at the bottom of the ski hill, like before the snow bus even was a thing.
Yeah.
And we would just thumb a ride up. I think she'd wait at the bottom probably until like we caught a ride. But if she had like something going on she had to do in town and like couldn't take us up, she would just like, put us out there. And then, once you leave those boundaries of the ski area, it's like, it's uncontrolled. It's like pretty wild, so who knows?
Totally.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think you build a sense of like independence and confidence in yourself through those experiences as well.
100%. I think it's one of the best things kids can learn how to do, is how to navigate a ski resort, especially that one.
Just fall, you can't see like 10 feet in front of you. You're like, am I where I think I am, or have I been on this run? Or
buddy system.
Can't see anyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally. So while we're getting to your part, can you kind of set up what Absinthe Film is, for like the people that are just watching this, that are just like my regular listeners that don't snowboard or anything like that? And
so I mean, Absinthe Films, which I guess has kind of evolved. Like now they're doing, it just released, they're doing like an Absinthe TV channel, and I'm blanking on the network, but so like the snowboard filmmaking industry has changed so much for the last 20 years, and especially like the last 10 years, which I guess this was about 10 years ago, this film we're about to watch my segment from. But yeah, I mean, Absinthe Films, that had always kind of been one of the premier like film crews. And they had a big kind of following and a big, this is, you're right there. You're into it now, but, they had a big kind of influence in Europe, and with the filmer out there, David Vladica, my buddy Vlad, call him my big Swiss brother. But so he always kind of had they had their eyes on like the new emerging talent out in Europe, and then like Justin Hosnick was out here in the States. So yeah, they always had a really good like mixed crew of like kind of the best of the European riders, the best of the American, Canadian riders, and they would just kind of share what the Americans would share, like what they knew here with Alaska and Canada and the US. And then when the US riders would go to Europe, then like they would be like welcomed and had this just like wealth of knowledge that would take you like decade to learn going there just independently with your buddies making a movie. So everyone kind of got fast tracked into like the best of the best spots. So really with like working with the crew like Absinthe, they've been doing it so long and we're so dialed. And it's like my buddy Manuel, he would always joke, he'd call us the baby boys, because like we would just like, you didn't have to think about anything other than like snowboarding. You would just like show up. You'd always be in like the best condition, like wherever the snow was the best in the world, like that's kind of where they were at. And like, you know, so we were getting the support to where we were able to like do that, like last minute fly somewhere, like it snowed there or conditions are good X wherever. And like, so, and then too, then with the Alaska counterpart, they'd been going up there. Even when I started filming with them, they'd been going up there for 20 years. So, which was pretty much like from the ground floor of when like heli skiing and stuff pretty much started in Alaska. So working with Hosnick up there, there's like really was no better person to go with. And we're known for like having just the most, like the best riders in the best conditions. And yeah, they always were shooting 16 millimeter and had good taste with music. So it always just kind of made this like sort of more artistic sort of approach to making these action like snowboard films. So yeah, and that was always kind of like the premiere, like or one of at least. But like I was always more drawn to Absinthe than any of the others. And even my brother and I, that was kind of like a goal we'd set together. Like when we made the year we made that Manifest movie, I even remember before flying down to Chile to meet him, because I was already planning on heading down there. And I was like, so what do you think? You want to do we're going to do another movie next year too? And he was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, unless like Absinthe hits me up, wants me to film with them, then yeah, let's do it, you know? And then, so that was kind of crazy, because it wasn't the following year, but 2 years later, I was like, got a message from Justin Hosnick which was like almost like halfway into the season after I'd I got third at the Mount Baker Bank Slalom, but I sort of won because all the everyone else was the Olympic border cross team. Like first, second, fourth, and fifth were all like gold, silver, bronze, fourth and fifth at the Olympics pretty much, and then I was in there at third, which kind of like throws back to my border cross roots, I guess, as a kid. But
dude, nice work, man.
Yeah, thanks, dude. And so that was kind of like
no joke.
And that's when Hosnick, I got home and had a voicemail from him. I'd never met him or talked to him or anything, but I like obviously knew who he was. And he was like, "Yeah, you want to come film with us?" And so I was just like blown away. And yeah, not my first day filming with them was like my first time ever in a helicopter or doing anything like that. And then we just did 2 months. That was for Dopamine. And we just did the next 2 months was like all heli. We did like a month in Revelstoke at Eagle Pass heli, which was just insane. And then we went up to Haines, Alaska with Alaska heli skiing and did like a month up there. And yeah, that'll just like blow your mind, melt your face, you know. It's insane. So that was a cool experience. But yeah, they're known for that, like the kind of, especially the Alaska stuff, like the kind of having the best shots, best Alaska, like big mountain, kind of wild, surreal, kind of out of this world stuff.
So insane. I like, how much vertical are you hitting on some of those like big mountains?
Well, that's the interesting thing. That's a good question, because I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, the bigger the better. But like when you're, and in some cases, yes, but when you're actually filming like a snowboard, like a shot, you're not riding like the biggest lines out there. Because really, you know, you think of this 3,000 foot face, like it's going to take some time to get down.
It's going to take a while.
Right.
Yeah,
so it's like you can fill like half your part or your whole part just like one run. So like really we're focusing on actually like smaller, a little bit more approachable, like things in like the 800 vertical to 1200 vertical kind of range. Like
that makes sense, because you want to see like the beginning to drop in and the ride out. Yeah. So then you can actually like, and even with that, they'll still like cut the clip sometimes into like segments. But at least it's like possible to show the whole clip where like, and it'd be under like 30 seconds where you get into those bigger lines. And that's when you're getting into more like the documentary style side of it now, where like, yeah, they'll do this huge face, you know, and then mix it in with some of the POV shots of it, and then hopefully, you know, probably some drone stuff or something. But yeah, it's mostly all that stuff's mostly under like 1,500 vertical. I would Interesting.
Say. Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, not to say I've ridden bigger faces out filming with those guys, but like those aren't the ones that normally make the movie. And if they do, then yeah, they'll show you like dropping in, and then it'll like cut. You're like, maybe you're at the crux in the middle. It'll show it again, and then like show the ride out. But when you're seeing those like top to bottom lines, yeah, it's rarely more than a 1,500 vertical run.
Huh, dude, that makes sense. Huh, awesome. All right, let's give this a shot, and just like anything you want to say about it, I'm sure I will. Oops.
Well, I could preface it a little because like this was, I ended up getting Big Mountain Rider of the Year for this season. I was not from Snowboarder Mag, and I was nominated for Rider of the Year from Trans World. I didn't win that one, but they only nominate like 3 dudes in the whole snowboard world, you know. But
that's massive.
Yeah, and this was like, I really set this intention even going into this season. Like I was getting the support, good support from my sponsors. I had this stage with working with Absinthe that I was like my, so it wasn't all just like an accident. It was like I wanted to work towards the end last part, and like I knew like I had the skills and the opportunity, the audience or the platform I should say, for like a Rider of the Year thing. And I like even like set that goal, and then there would come so like where you're saying like that self help or like self taking care of yourself. Like going into that season, I was like so focused and doing everything in my power to like get my mind and body in the place to like, and soul even, I guess you would say, like to just fully just take off, you know. And
were you doing any like physical training or anything to like hitting the gym or doing any meditation or yoga or anything?
Yeah, so I guess I was like exercising, but I guess it was almost more like getting my head in the right spot, because I was I was like getting pretty in, and I was eating well, and I was doing like a lot of mobility, like yoga and some like strength stuff. But I had like a meditation practice going. I was seeing this Dr. Lampshire, who still has a practice in Kalispell, and he has like a pretty interesting approach of like this sort of holistic sort of health and wellness. And so I was like just like really tapping into a lot of those sort of tools that, you know, in like the everyday stresses of life, they get kind of like buried. And like, sure, we all know that they're out there and that there's like things happening that we can't necessarily explain, but until you kind of set that intention and kind of put in the energy to like get there, but they're really hard. It's hard to tap into. So,
right.
But yeah, so I think I like really tapped into something greater than myself going into that season. For sure.
That's incredible.
And yeah, I mean, how else can you explain it, walking away from it alive, right? No, no, but because it was pretty intense. Like, and you know, those things, and it's tough when you because we started filming here. Yeah. I started filming with Leland in November, because some of these shots are like right up at the ski area, and then we went all the way into May up in Alaska. So yeah, so like that's 5+ months of like just putting your all into something, you know. And so it's a pretty intense experience, like I will say that. Like
once in a lifetime. It's like very rarely do people get that kind of opportunity of preparing yourself with so much of happening to like have what is essentially like ultimate glory in what you do, to be at the top at that level, like Rider, just to get nominated for Rider of the Year by Transworld. That's freaking incredible. I mean, that's like winning the lottery in snowboarding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but you earned it though.
Well, yeah. And the last thing you want, like, look back, like you had all these opportunities, and you know, you didn't take it to as far as you could, or you went home a little early, or called it off or whatever. So yeah, like looking back, you know, and even now, that's how it's the funny thing with video parts. Like you're always going to look back, especially like 10 years later, and you'll be like, man, that clip, you know, like wish I had done that a little different or a little better. But
yeah,
and more so for me, like the urban stuff, like the big mountain stuff was pretty crazy, and like, you know, I don't think I could have done it much to like a much higher level, you know. And like even to this day, there's like, you know, it's hard to like, and now because there's so much less with the heli stuff, people are out on split boards. Like we had this pretty major safety net, having the helicopters right there and like this crew right there. Like if you're out there on the snow machines or on the split boards and like something happens, it's a whole nother, like reacting to an emergency is a whole nother situation where we were, I mean, not to say we were putting, like, doesn't mean we like put safety aside, but you kind of knew that you had like some help, support in your corner. So you're a little more likely to like push it to your limits than you would if you were just out there, you and a couple buddies on the split boards.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Avi protocol, when you have a helicopter and you've got so many eyes on you, you can kind of probably like understand where people are going if someone gets under or anything. And plus with like did you guys have like the rafts or the inflatables back then?
I did ride a season with the airbag, but no, like this year I didn't have one. Like, and I think too, I mean, that's a good thing, I guess, a good resource to have. And we did get some snow moving this season for sure. We were like maybe a little closer to that edge than you'd like to be. But yeah, I feel like some of those things, like, and that's what something I always really focused on was to not let because one, you're spending a lot of money. There's this pressure and all this stuff, you know. So I tried to approach all my lines and everything I rode, like clearing my head of that stuff. Like I'm here because like I want to be riding this. It's not like I have to, or I'm like thinking about I need to get a shot today because I'm spending $2,000 on the helicopter or whatever. So it's like, so I think that's, you know, how you're able to avoid some, and sure, and there's lines where like you get up there and it just doesn't feel right, and you either ride down the side or get picked back up, and so that sort of thing will, you know, so you got to listen to that intuition a little too, you know, as well as like the very like obvious signs that are out there.
All right, let's give this a watch.
All right, sick, dude. Oh man, okay, this one I bit off a little more than I could chew on this one. You can see it fracture. I didn't really have much of a plan. I just like tried to make it out. But yeah, I got sucked down, went for a ride all the way down that face. Like,
really?
Not buried or anything, but my goggle lenses popped off, so my face just got caked with snow. It was kind of a nightmare.
Oh.
And this is all Switzerland, these last few shots. We just had such a sick crew out there. Like, probably spent like 3-4 weeks out there. This stuff's just, as you can see, right off the ski area, you know?
Yeah.
It's like stuff you'd take a snowmobile to in the U.S. or Canada. You just take a rope tow out there or hike a little further. Like, yeah, all these shots, these first few shots are all just right off the ski area.
That's incredible. In Switzerland?
Yeah. This is Italy, actually. And then, here we got FECC.
Nice.
This is something I've been thinking about for a while. Like, you catch your edge on the board, or on the lip or whatever, the rail, and then flip out of it.
Insane.
And that, I don't know where I came up with that. I always just loved cartwheels and stuff, so thought I'd cartwheel into a bank. That's right up by Chair 3.
Oh, no way.
This Whitefish Lake, that's when I was telling you about where the homie tried kicking us out, but we refused to leave. We just waited till he left his house and came back and got the shots. No, here's those out in Marquette, Michigan, dude. They just get so much snow, it's insane.
Oh.
Same here, you're just on the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right off Chair 3, this one. The front, front lip, 270.
Yep.
This is a fun one I'd always kind of thought about. And then, like, turn it into the 360. You, like, bring it one way, tap, and then spin out. There's City Beach. Kind of a...
That
cool. Shot didn't turn out quite how I was hoping. That one, that's in Kalispell at church. We had a funny story there because the guy showed up and he's like, did you guys get... My buddy, he asked, first thing he says, "Did you guys get permission to do this?" And my buddy just said, "Yeah." And then later we went, he brought us in. He's like bringing us in to sit us down and talk to us. He's like, "So who exactly gave you permission?" And I was like, "It's like, we got permission from God." And we're at the church, dude. And I think it could have gone one or two ways, but dude, he was not impressed. Like, he did not think that was funny. And like, I wasn't even trying to be funny. Like, I was just trying to like, well, who else did we get permission? Like, no person gave us permission to do this, you know? So But yeah, he was not stoked.
Oh, that's
But yeah, so that one we had to
hilarious.
go back like 4 times before we finally got that shot. I went there in the middle of the night and got it.
Damn.
But yeah, that one a couple of goes Outlaw Inn. That was a pretty fun one. And the dude was so stoked. We got him to shovel it for us.
That's
Yeah, there's
awesome.
City Beach.
The City Beach, yeah, dude, that's a gnarly rail.
It's a tight kink there.
And this stuff is
But yeah,
just
I love
insane.
how what I liked about this part is like all that is like a lot of the freestyle stuff there, and you're like, oh, this is kind of sick, like freestyle. But then as it kind of changes, and then boom, it kind of goes into all my like more of my big mountain shots, and
I mean,
know?
you were mobbing down that, you must be going like 80 miles an hour.
yeah, I'm probably not quite that fast, but you're definitely flying. Like I don't know. You know, because when the snow's good, it has the ability to kind of like slow you down a little. Where like, yeah, if you were on a groomer doing that, you would be going like legit at least 80.
What did this sound like? Could you hear this coming behind you?
Not really, because it wasn't really. It was all such loose snow.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a big roaring avalanche or anything.
This last shot's this back three. Is it back three Japan?
Yeah, I just grabbed mute, but
That is huge.
But yeah, that was we were after 14 days of no snowboarding because of the weather, and then we got out first day, and that coming out of that was like when you're in the waves, like in the white water, you
Yeah.
kind of, it's like pulling your board in all these different ways, and you just kind of have to go kind of loose and like let it do its thing. But
I was wondering
it made
about
for
that.
a pretty cool shot. Like it's pretty crazy. Like that was the one at the premiere. Like people were like going absolutely nuts on, which you know, I'm not like trying to promote like snowboarding avalanches or
Yeah.
anything, but like, yeah, and that was sick. That was in Italy.
Just-
and that's tough because even the video like doesn't even quite do justice on the distance. Like my buddy Vlad, he thought it was at least a 50-meter distance. So
Yeah.
it's like over 150 feet.
It looks like it.
And then these were just like, this is just prime as conditions as you can get up there. Like, yeah, you got those like slough triggering, but on some of these lines, I actually wasn't even planning on taking that line, but the slough was so heavy, I had to kind of improvise. And same with this next line, dude. Like, I was planning on just going straight down from like, you'll see here in a second, like where I go down. I was gonna just go off this first cliff and then just keep going straight, but the slough was so heavy I couldn't see anything, so I had to hook left like that. And then all of a sudden I was just airborne. Like I had no idea that I was gonna be launching off that cliff like so suddenly, because then you're just in a mist of the slough, you know. So you can make a plan like how you're gonna ride one of those lines, but a lot of it's improvising and just being able to like react super quick and like hoping your mind and body are connected enough like that your board control is like instantaneous and like that you can kind of do it on feel, you know, like because that one was like totally just, I was gonna just land that first cliff and keep going straight, but there was just like a cloud of snow you couldn't even see, so I had to like do that turn to kind of like get to somewhere where I could see, because the slough was like just floating in a cloud. And by the time I could kind of see what was happening, I was like already airborne off that cliff. Like I wasn't planning on jumping it at all.
Damn.
And that's where just like the time on the board where like, okay, we're in the air, like, all right, like, and you got that kind of spidey sense or whatever. But
And you're balanced enough in the air.
yeah, so that was a crazy one. And those were like, that's fun how that works is like you'll be up in Alaska for 2 months and then you just get the conditions just align just right. Like those last 2 shots were all like the same day, and both like Manuel and Lucas Tabari, Manuel Diaz and Lucas Tabari got like some of their best shots that day. So it's like all about, you got to get those kind of shots in Alaska, you got to like put in a lot of time and get comfortable and kind of get your bearings up there.
Wow.
And just like timing and luck is a lot of it too, but
Yeah, it's just incredible. It's just such a fascinating. I always wondered, like, if there's civilizations on other planets, if they do stuff like this. Do you think snowboarding exists on other planets? Wouldn't that be crazy?
I
if
hope
it
so.
Did? Right?
Or yeah, maybe they have some different substance that they slide on. I don't even know.
Totally.
In a different atmosphere or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe gravity's so much lower. That, you know, could you imagine if like gravity was just like cranked down a few notches? How much, you know?
How many more spins you could do, or a little bit
like
further.
How floaty you could be.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't need to be that much smaller. Like if the Earth was like 2% smaller, you'd probably have just a little bit more.
Wow.
That's so crazy. How is snowboarding, like all of this, translated into different areas of your life as far as adventure seeking goes?
Well, I think the coolest thing that, and you see it with like skaters, snowboarders, it's like even like you see a kid like trying to learn a trick at the skate park or something, and it's like they try it, they like mess it up, and it's like, okay, you're like, okay, what can I do better? And like you try it again, and like this time you might kind of like bash your shin or whatever, get it like a little tweak, but you're like, all right. So I think one, like that resilience, and two, just that sort of problem solving. And then one of the things I've been most drawn to, and that's I think why, because I was never really super like great with the urban riding and the rails. Like I was decent, but I think what really drew me there to that, which later like I got that from like the more like the bigger jumps and like the bigger lines and stuff. But with those you kind of just get. You normally just get those few tries, and like with those big lines, it's just kind of like the one try. But that feeling when you're scared of like getting hurt or like something happening, and then you kind of take a step back, you like assess the risks of like what could go wrong, like where you're like what are the biggest hazards, like what do you want to avoid. And you can translate that like, to like hitting the rails, like the street riding, and then like on the big, where the margin for error is like pretty small, but the consequences maybe aren't as grave, where you're in the big mountains, the margin for error is a little bigger, but like the consequences can also be potentially bigger. But that's something I guess I was drawn to as like snowboarding progressed, and that I think you're able to like, which can kind of help you off the snow with your like pursuits in life, because it's like doing something new and different, whether you're on the snowboard or not, can be scary. But I think you can build like this confidence in yourself that like once you've done this hundreds of times where you're like, okay, I'm pretty afraid, you take a second to kind of like, you know, minimize the risks, or at least think it through the safest way you can do it in your head. But then at the end of it, it's like you just have to kind of let go, and you just go. And like, you know, sure, yeah, whether that's like a failed business endeavor or something else going on where it's like it's that same sort of mentality. You like think through like, okay, what could go wrong in this scenario, and then you kind of get over that hurdle. And that's like the coolest feeling, like after, especially now, and that's what's cool about that urban stuff is the urban riding, because you can do it over and over and over, and that first time is always super scary, and like it might take you like 50 tries to do it, and then you look, but each time you're like normally you're like getting more comfortable, more confident, and then you look back at the end and you're like, wow, you're so comfortable with it now. All of a sudden it's hard to even imagine that an hour before you were like horrified that to even do this, you know? So like, I think there's some, you know, probably some benefits like into your real life, like just kind of training your brain in that way.
Dude, the fear of failure, it's like with skateboarding or snowboarding, you're going to fail until you get it. It's like you're not going to get a first try every single time.
Totally.
So it's like failing is just like part of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're okay with it. And I think you see like, yeah, maybe something doesn't work out. It's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, like things happen.
Like I tried to learn tray flips.
Move on.
I learned I couldn't do tray flips. So I found another trick that I could do and I could do well.
Or you adjust, you like re-strategize back to the drawing boards in life or whatever. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did I hear you did like like a Lakota ceremony or something?
I've been involved in a couple.
Was that something you got to do here?
No,
or
those were out in Pine Ridge, out in South Dakota,
awesome,
out by the Black Hills.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
I guess the one ceremony that I like partook in as like a actually like involved directly doing it was at Bear Butte,
cool,
South Dakota, and it's called Hamblecha, which they translates to crying for a vision. It's essentially like a vision fast or a vision quest. Like they'll put you, they call it putting you up. They'll like put you on the mountain. It's all a big ceremony involved, and you make all these prayer ties and kind of covers around you, and that's like your kind of zone, and you set like how long you want to stay there, essentially like dry fasting.
Really? So like water fasting also? Is that what dry
so
fast
no
is?
food or water. Yeah.
Whoa.
But yeah, and that was a pretty powerful experience. And then I got on that same trip, and this was just for their ceremonies. This is just kind of a preparation, all tied in with the sweat lodge, Hamblecha, and then it's all kind of ramping up to or building up to Sundance.
Oh.
And so I got to experience attending a Sundance, and like I was like kept fire at the Sundance, really? Which was a pretty amazing opportunity and experience, and just getting to see see how everyone approaches that and like how serious they take it, and how
doing the
they'll give a flesh offering essentially. Yeah, and it's powerful stuff, man, and I mean they do it for all the world, really, right. As a way to like pray for all humanity. So it's pretty special.
That's amazing you got to experience that, and especially experience a Sundance. I mean, my folks and I got to see one in the 80s over in Browning, and it was just probably one of the most profound experiences of my life, just seeing what that means to be so connected to your body and to reality, and to knowing I don't even know how to explain that, because I was just an observer, but the I don't know, there's like a veil there, kind of getting back to your veil of pain and sacrifice and breaking that pain, like you're pulling away from the pain. So I wonder if it's
powerful stuff, man. And the way I've had it explained is like you kind of mentioned, that veil is which you like people achieve through psychedelics. In that part, I kind of achieved it in a way through a concussion. So like there's ways to kind of doing that, but like way I've heard it explained and that's where the fasting and stuff comes in, because it's like you're almost like, the closer you are to kind of death, almost was like that veil is kind of lighter, like you can kind of see into that other world a little more, but I think it's a fine line of like, obviously you don't go too far, you can't come back, right? So there's some like, I think some structure and some plans like how they handle it, and to keep from going too far. But I think that's kind of how I had it explained to me, was like that's why you're opening yourself, or how you're open to these profound experiences that you wouldn't really necessarily see or encounter in common day life, because hopefully you're like very far from death, and you're well fed and hydrated, and you got good solid 8 hours of sleep last night or whatever. So
it's transcendent, I think, is the word.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. You're now working on a film project. Now, you told me a little bit about it. Now, can you talk about it like publicly a little bit, like what you're working on now?
I'm stoked. Well, so I'm producing my first film, and like I was telling you a little, it's kind of a unique concept, I guess. It's a post-apocalyptic snowboard clip, sci-fi snowboard western, and I'm calling it Veil, in Search of the Last Mountain. Veil as in Veil.
Love it.
But there's like this whole kind crazy funny intro story that, you know, hopefully I'm not like predicting any future here with this,
You might be a little bit.
or manifesting it, but it was like an outlet for all my weird kind of thoughts that, you know, so I can just kind of like think them, have a little fun with it, put it out, share them in a unique way, and I don't have to get stuck on the rabbit hole of like where's the world going? Like how dark is it all gonna go? And I can just kind of like play around with it, make it fun, put it out there. But yeah, Veil in Search of the Last Mountain, we're gonna be premiering it here in Whitefish at the Whitefish Performing Arts Center. So it's my middle school, where I went to middle school.
Amazing.
November 21st. So super excited with that, and yeah, it just goes to show it's like how cool our snowboard community is, because this all kind of sparked when we were showing a film that my buddies made from a trip I got to go on them with. My buddies Iñaki and Worm. So they do Inyo and Worm's Adventures. They have like a pretty awesome YouTube channel, and then they made a full film last year from our big glacier camp out we did up in Haines, Alaska. So now instead of like doing all this crazy heli stuff like I got to do 10 years ago, the industry's like shifted so much, and my life and my friends, like our goals and priorities as well as like budgets have shifted. So like we went on a plane to like essentially get this experience of riding these big, amazing, like cool lines that we've always dreamt of. But this time we're like hiking them. We're like camped out on a glacier for 2 weeks and hiking them all ourselves. So that's you got to check that one out. That's a Glacier Camp, the movie from Inyo and Worm. But we were showing that at Black Star Brewery, and I was injured at the time. Wasn't even snowboarding, and that was maybe beginning of January we showed that, and ran into an old buddy I know from the mountain, Rowdy Starling, and this guy I know as well, but had never really snowboarded with either, named Brad Robinson, and they were kind of talking about a year before they tried to do this trip up into the Bob Marshall with the horses and mules to go snowboarding, and they kind of got rained out and like snowed out and kind of had to turn around. But I was like, I was super drawn to it because it was maybe 8 years ago. I worked for the Forest Service for a local shredder. I grew up looking up to Guy Zollner, who's the wilderness ranger.
Dude, Guy's a legend.
So that exposed me to that whole world with the Bob Marshall, and then with the backcountry horsemanship and mule packing. And then I went on to do that work in the summer for like a few years. I was so drawn to it and really love it. And I'd always been kind of daydreaming on how to combine snowboarding with this like this lifelong passion with this sort of newfound love. And it's just, there's so much involved, you know. First you need the stock, which is like a big thing, and then, but yeah, so we just, after a couple minute chat at the Black Star, you know, and I was hurt, so it just kind of like stuck in my head, was like, oh man, like this is going to be like my one exciting cool trip I can do this season. And like, and that's where, yeah, with the injury I couldn't snowboard, so like the mental side kind of ran wild, and that's where I came up with this kind of really kind of batty concept for this movie. And then I just held on to this idea with like, we're going to do this trip with these guys, it's going to be awesome. And like, that's where, yeah, being heard, I, instead of like the budget I had to put up to go on a snowboard trip or something, I ended up buying a camera and getting the editing software and started playing with that stuff. And then,
what camera did you get?
Well, it's just a little Panasonic camcorder.
Sweet.
It's I forget, XC 991 or something. They don't even make that one anymore.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's just like, it shoots 4K, and I mean, it was like, I think with the whole thing was on with the shotgun mic and tripod, camera, a couple extra batteries, was all still like under $1,000 or something pretty reasonable. And it shoots really cool stuff, you know, like, and it's not like full pro grade, but
But for the story you're telling,
yeah,
you know?
it brings kind of this kind of feel, like a little more approachable, like real life feel. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I hit them up, and after I was all healed up, I was like, "So we actually gonna do the trip?" And they were like, "Whoa, yeah, all right. We didn't think you were serious, but yeah, let's do it." So we did it, and Rowdy and I filmed a bunch while we were out there, and just been kind of connecting the dots, making it all coming all together.
Dude, and it's like, is it scripted? Is it kind of like
No. So there's like the intro. All the kind of sci-fi stuff is kind of more the intro, just kind of a thought-provoking way to kind of like set the stage of how, so you don't have to we don't have, why are you guys on horses going snowboarding? Like, why don't you just go to Mount Hood?
Oh, I love it.
You know, so this is kind of the concept of like, we're, long story short, we're kind of like escaping this like this dystopia where like snowboarding's been extinct for centuries, and we kind of like hear of like, it comes to us, I guess, that like this thing used to exist and we just wanted to go experience it, but we're so much control, people can't just like pick up and go, and
they got to unplug from the matrix, as you said.
Yeah, pretty much, a little bit. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So that's why we went on horseback, but yeah, if you want to learn, like, get the full story, yeah, come check it out, or like, yeah, I'll have it on like YouTube and stuff too, and
rad.
And yeah, 'cause I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but yeah, we just go on this, ends up just being this pretty rad, full-on adventure with like horses, mules. We catch a bunch of fish and snowboard and it's camaraderie, and yeah, it's just like a cool, wholesome kind of Montana adventure.
Dude, that's amazing.
Little sci-fi kind of twists, kind of setting the stage for it. But
that's awesome. It kind of makes me think of what was the Volcom film they did? Was it The Stone? Where it was kind of like this weird. Shaun White was like 12 in it.
Oh, maybe.
They kind of did some fun.
Yeah, they always
weird...
get kind of a little psychedelic with the.
Yeah.
They've had a few.
Yep.
Sick ones like that.
I want that stuff to come back, and maybe you're bringing it back now. That's awesome. Do you think is more filmmaking in your future? You think you want to do more stuff like that? Like, did it kind of get you excited to maybe explore other ideas?
Definitely, yeah. I'm super excited. Like I've had so many creative ideas for films, and I've just never. This is the first one to bring to fruition, but I think it's just like kind of the beginning, and
yeah,
I have all sorts of ideas, and now I'm kind of building my own little like mini media house. I got the camera, I'm learning the software, just like randomly, I don't know, but the universe sent me a drone.
Nice.
Which just like was helping a buddy, and he's like, I got this drone, you want it? And so I got a little drone now, and just kind of like, yeah, getting set up to kind of like film my own stuff, and that's where like so much of the snowboarding is gone. There's not so much these high budget productions, and it's a lot more DIY and like filming your own stuff, coming up with your own concepts, and which is cool because it's like, it's kind of on you. It's like the expectations are what you put on yourself and what you want to do with it. It's kind of like ultimate freedom, and like YouTube's kind of the like there used to be all sorts of, like they would have to pay crazy amounts of money for rights for music and stuff, or like,
oh right,
I don't know how YouTube works it out, but like you can pretty much use any music on YouTube that you want. But
and there's I'll show you, I use this thing called artlist.io. They have like a ton of music you can just license, like you subscribe to like a monthly fee, and you can access all their music library. Cool. And they've got some like dope music on there too, like stuff that's like is, I would say, snowboard skateboard video park quality.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Well, dude, so I'm lucky. Well, that's another, comes back to the community aspect of Whitefish here, because for this movie Veil, at least, I'm working with the Grey Goo.
Oh, nice. I'm
using their music for this film.
Dude, they're amazing.
So they are like absolute just destroyers in the booth and on the stage. So like, and they bring such a cool energy and kind of also like a heavy music, but this kind of thought-provoking tone, and kind of keep it trippy and fun. So
yeah,
I'm stoked to get to connect with them through that. And cool, another thing, like I got Angus with Achy Bones is helping me with the artwork. He made a really cool graphic, and Stumptown's Snowboards is one of the presenting sponsors, along with my buddy that got me involved in those ceremonies. Donald, he's out in north of the Seattle Bothell Chiropractic Clinic. So big shout out to them as well, because that's kind of like who's helping make this all happen and allowing me to like sink like the hundreds and hundreds of hours of have put into it. Which I'm learning a lot. Like, you know, it's one thing to go out and film the stuff, and then you gotta like, then that's the fun part. Then the work like really begins. Like, so
post-production, as they say. Dude, that's amazing. So got the film coming out, you got the Plant a Seed, there's the Smash Life Bank Slalom, there's like who knows what else is going to come up. So you got like a lot of fucking sweet stuff happening.
Yeah, it feels good, man. Yeah, it feels good.
Good, man. Well, keep me posted so I can share your stuff on Instagram and stuff.
I will do, Morgan.
Hell yeah, dude.
Thanks, bro.
Rad.